Have you heard of male supremacy? It's not plain sexism or chauvinism. It's a kind of potentially violent extremism that experts say is on the rise. Male supremacy can be defined as a hateful ideology advocating for the subjugation of women.
This really kind of very ugly and insidious subculture of individuals, men across the United States and sometimes more broader, that objectify and have this misogynistic worldview of women that's uglier than many people even recognize on a day-to-day basis.
The Anti-Defamation League divides the Manosphere into three broad groups. So-called men's rights activists use legitimate advocacy for equal treatment in divorce and custody disputes as a cover for toxic anger. Pickup artists share advice about how to date women, but also talk about psychologically manipulating and controlling them. And incels are men who blame women for their own involuntary celibacy.
So I found this subject. I was watching an episode of Abba and Preach, and shout out to them. They were talking about there's government agencies now working with other collaborating with other groups, and they're trying to get like these so-called red pill YouTubers demonetized. They're working to get them demonetized, like in a platform where you pretty much have mostly free speech. They're working to get people to stop, making certain kind of content. Mm-hmm. And this also, for me, it sounded awfully familiar to what they did with masculinity, and try to say it's toxic. One of our first, core episodes of the podcast, with far as us debunking toxic masculinity, it just brought me back to those days, and it kind of triggered me. So I'm like, if this is male supremacy, right? If men speaking their minds and having standards and whatnot is male supremacy, then what is feminism? Is that women's supremacy? Like, what? I don't get what they were getting to with that. Don't get me wrong. Some of this red pill shit, some of these creators, they do the extreme just to get clicks and views, and it's obvious. You can smell it on them that they just
it's just content, bro. Like,
yeah, they just content, and they're getting rich, so they think they can put on that persona. But you can look at them and tell they're not really like that. But it's not. At the same time, I don't think like red pill offers nothing to men that they can really learn and better themselves for. I'm not saying I prescribe to red pill, but I am always will be red pill aware. How about that? Like, that was the term. I'm red pill aware. That's the term. Look it up. I just want to, as far as her saying the three types of male supremacy, men's right activists arguing for equality in divorce. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Y'all acting like women not out here taking dudes to the cleaners the first chance they get, coming up on bags. Like we don't have a right. Like we don't have a gripe with that. That's not just anger. Yeah, we angry because it's not right. It's not fair in a lot of cases. The incels, I can't do nothing about. I can't argue for the incels. The incels, y'all got to do better. The incels do better.
You're a victim. Here we go, CSI.
The incels could benefit from listening to some red pill content, or just finding some kind of confidence in themselves. Like, it's not women's fault that you don't get laid at all. Like, under no circumstances. If you're married, it's a different thing. If she holding it from you, she got to tighten up. But
amazing.
Yeah. And what was I can't remember what was the second type.
The other one, the second one. What was the second one? You probably got to play the video again.
Did you catch the second one, G? The second type of male supremacist, allegedly?
In the Manosphere.
The Manosphere? Yeah, I think it was the red pill community itself. The pickup artists.
Pickup artists. There you go.
Or whatnot.
Yeah, you can't never, that's crazy. You can't teach men how to get women.
As far as pickup artists, I'm not gonna argue that any of it is falsehood. Women go for different things, and depending on what type of woman you're dealing with. So I ain't gonna say pickup artists don't offer anything to you. It'll work on some women. So certain shit works on certain women. That's all I'm gonna say. But this is a falsehood, man. Like I want to know who came up with this, coined this term, and where it came from, because I don't think men are out here being supreme. I think we are inherently in nature just supreme. Like, and I'm not saying supreme as if we're better than women, but we just run the world. Like Beyonce lied to y'all when she said girls run the world, because y'all don't. But it seems like this attack on male, this male supremacy attack, it's not about balancing and equality. Like women's, it's just starting to sound like women saying they want equality means they want to rule, they want to run shit. That's what I'm taking from whoever coined this term, male supremacy. It had to be some feminist group. I'm just assuming. I don't know. I ain't did a deep dive into it yet. But what do y'all think as far as the term male supremacy, and where is this agenda going? It just seems like another agenda to me.
I'm gonna have Trey. You may want to go ahead and go first.
Yeah. Trey, you go first.
When I start going off on this one's not gonna be.
He already wrote on the chalkboard. I will not say the R word.
The views of Anthony Giovanni are not the views of everybody on this podcast. I don't want none of them to get.
But clip that shit.
I'm just saying that right now. The views of Anthony Giovanni, are not the views.
They probably are on this topic, though. They probably are.
I'm just saying that just in case somebody be like, I say something wild, they be like, "Oh, Trey said that too."
Y'all.
He didn't say that. Don't do that to him. I don't care. But don't I don't want to mess up my I don't careness on another man. So I'm just getting that out the way. I'm gonna say some wild stuff.
Passing the torch, bro. You got the floor.
Oh shoot, yeah, I know. All right, listen. Where I start off at? Let's see, man. This is Teddy. You ready? All right, Teddy said, "Go ahead and go." Listen, man. This beta male right here, they made a supremacy. The thing is, I want to start from the beginning. Men have not been able to speak on anything negative of the other sex for decades, almost generations. We had plenty of shows demeaning men. We had plenty of artists demeaning men. We had movies demeaning men. And if you want to get racial, most of the time it's demeaning the black man.
Mm.
If you want to get racial with it, honestly, a lot of it has been on the black man. Even though the white boys, they get there, talks about every once in a while. That's how it is.
On the View and shit.
Yeah, on the View. I mean, we can name how many shows you want to name. I mean, plenty of shows where men we just ain't nobody, y'all. We just as a POSs, we ain't nobody. Even though, if you want to be real about it, we built this world that all these women are so comfortable in.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly. But as soon as you see this podcast right here, that these gentlemen right here that we created, as soon as a man starts talking up about the difficulties and the negative ways that men are being, how would I say? I ain't gonna say that word.
Disenfranchised.
Oh, there you go. I'm trying to use my words clearly because I said it ain't used on.
You're a victim.
Yeah, I want to be a victim with it. But I'm not. But you're right. I'm not saying we're being victims, but there's a difference between being a victim and actually showing you the truth. There's two different things. Actually correcting something and saying it's the truth is not being a victim. So that's two different things. So we're saying what's going on in the world. That's what we do on this podcast. And there's many a podcast and men are talking about that. Women have been dogging us for a long time. We ain't nobody. As men, we're supposed to be men. We stand up and we don't say nothing sometimes. We just be like, they just talking. They just women. But after a while, men will get fed up. And in 2024, men are kind of fed up. And Keith already said it in the laws and the way they've been treating us. They're kind of fed up now. So now we have our own mics. And I know the reason. Men are good at this. We're good at marketing. We're good at talking. We're good at all this. And for some reason, well, I know the reason. I'm stop saying some reason. We are starting to flourish as far as the manosphere. Now, the manosphere, I don't think the manosphere is just a cluster of men that just don't like women. No, I think as far as the manosphere and when it was created, it's just a space where men can talk, flourish, learn how to make money, learn mindset, learn how to get their fitness together, and be productive men.
Yeah.
And it's a group where men can come together as a community and learn from each other. That's one of the original reasons why the Manosphere came about. Now, there's always bad apples in the Manosphere. I ain't gonna shy away from that. There's some dudes in the Manosphere, they be wilding. I ain't gonna even lie to you. They be calling them all types of bees and dogging women, do all that stuff. But that comes with any type of community. A community is not going to be 100% good, and I know that. But you don't look at what the bad ones are doing, not looking at what's good that the Manosphere is doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a good side of the Manosphere. I want to get that out the way. Second thing is going back to women just doing whatever they want to do. They've been dogging us for a while, and just like Keith said, there's nothing. We haven't heard anything bad about feminists. We got whole podcasts teaching women how they can get money out of men. We got whole podcasts how you can drug men. We got whole podcasts how you can be able to do whatever you want towards men and he can't do nothing back towards you. They have podcasts dedicated to this. I know a lot of people don't search it, but I'm not dumb and I do look at things. I searched it and there's a whole podcast on it. Because if you look at the numbers, you want to know the real numbers? If you want to look at YouTube, because I do this for real. The number one men's podcast on YouTube is Joe Rogan. And what does Joe Rogan talk about? Joe Rogan talks about philosophy. He talks about money. He talks about things that are productive in the world. You want to know the number one podcast with his own women? It's a sex podcast, and they're teaching women about sex, how to do blowjobs, how to take money from men. That's one of the number one podcasts. It's called I'll even put it on the thumbnail when it comes out. It's called Your Mom's Podcast or something. It's like some with mom podcast on there. I looked it up.
Some of them gotta learn that type of stuff.
Some of them gotta learn how to do a blowjob. Goddamn.
Yeah, it's all that. But yeah, I mean, we hear that. But you see how that's not discriminative or nothing like that, and that's just okay. It's like they don't see what's bad on that side, but you want to go and demonize talking about men are in the manosphere is bad. Right. Oh no, actually the manosphere is actually making men aware of what women do in real life and not seeing that they're just these perfect beings. Mm-hmm. That's what the manosphere has done. They have opened the eyes of millions of men to really see that how women move in real life. That's why on some of the stuff I be with them on sometimes when the heavy red pill dudes, I'll be like, I understand what you're saying. You all right. I mean, some of the stuff that women be doing, they be wilding. Just because I don't agree with all the stuff you're saying, but I'm a man that I could be able to chew the meat and spit out the bones when I'm hearing information. So I'll be like, some of the stuff you're right, brother. Some of the stuff I can't really rock with. So you can't demonize everybody in the manosphere, bro. You can't do that. You got Cardi B and all them goddamn drugging people, and why is Cardi B not locked up? Huh? I'm still mad about that. She everybody. She drugging people and took money, and she's still a celebrity going to see in the president.
Statute of limitations, I guess.
It don't matter if it's statute of limitations. We already had Holyfield, aka Diddy. He did that, and that's outside of the statute because that was 2016. If you want to be honest, and they still showing his video like he is just the worst person in the world, but that's outside of statute of limitations. Isn't that correct?
True.
But Cardi B can sit up in the White House with Biden.
What she do now?
That was her claim to that was her first claim to fame when she talked about.
She has said multiple times on podcasts that she admits it that she used to drug men and take their money, and she said it and laughed about it many of times on podcasts. Laughed about it, bruh. Drugging and stealing.
Impossible essay.
Yes. And you think that she's been locked up, Trey? You think that anybody demeaned her or said that she was a horrible person? Let me do that, Trey. Let me go say that I'm going around just putting mollies in girls' drinks and taking their money and running their credit score and leaving. You think I would be right here on this podcast, Trey?
Yeah, I don't like the double standards.
Exactly. But the funny thing is, Trey, the double standards are not as harsh on men as the ones for women. Our double standards are a little bit different where they're not crime related for the most part. Their double standards should be able to go to jail.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the double standards that I don't see. that's all messed up. So I got to stand up for the manosphere one time. And that's it for now. I might come back for part 2. I might come back for part 2. Y'all you go ahead and do your thing because I might come back for part 2.
All right. We are in unison on this topic. And I had to learn that because initially, whenever somebody brought up manosphere, especially a man bringing manosphere as a topic towards me, it was always red pill. So I initially made that connection. But as we were doing, and I ain't hear nothing about manosphere, I never had to talk about masculinity and none of that stuff until I got into this realm where I was like, yo, there's a lot of lost souls out here. We need to be putting out the right information. And hey, we are part of the manosphere. You know what I'm saying? It's real easy being a man and telling men how to be men. You're in the manosphere. It's real simple. As far as coining this term of male supremacy, she said it in her first spiel of the video. She said it's potentially violent extremism. Okay, but like you said, Keith, that goes both ways. How I'm not with red pill, I'm also not with this new wave of feminism. And I didn't know it was waves until we deep dived into it. Really, I'm just not like, what is this? All of these terms and the extreme point of views, like either you're this or you're that. Either you is this or is that. And it's like, bro, like honestly, life is a balance. We all got masculine and feminine energy, right? You're supposed to just be able to rely on the type of energy that you need for the situation at hand. Usually, man's more leaning towards masculine. Okay, simple. Like it don't have to be like all of this. Like it gets extreme. That's the word that I can lean on. It gets extreme, and it's the same thing for the women. And I do also see what y'all say and agree about like this whole backlash. Now, mind you, I'm a communications guy, and I have these types of discussions and stuff in person, in public, with strangers. I do my own field surveys, all of that. I get my own stats, right? I could do my own social experiments, whatever you want to call it. But I simply talk to people. And when situations may arise or these types of discussions are being had, it usually escalate and try to like each side would try to like, let me win you over here. And it's like, well, both of y'all might have made some points that was accurate and true and valid, but both of y'all also spewing some bullshit just to seem right and accurate and true. Now, business that I'm experienced enough and business that I'm experienced enough, I can see through the attempts, right? So when it starts to become extreme, I'm the one who's usually humbling the group, like, yo, that's not in the entirety of what she was trying to say. That's not what he was coming off as. Like, what was wrong with him saying that you needed to listen to him, you needed to trust him? What was wrong with her? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm usually the one guiding the conversation to make it make sense. So when it comes to the online realm, it's usually just a guy voicing his opinion that people are looking at. That's like, oh, he's, and the ones who usually soak up the game take it to the extreme as well. Those are the ones that I'm like, yo, like I'm gonna talk, like I said, I had these conversations. Those are the ones, usually the young men looking for guidance. They find it online. They try and apply it. They don't get the result that they're looking for. And then let's talk to another guy. It seems like you're pretty stable. You're pretty good. You're pretty good with the ladies. How do you do it? And then we have an actual conversation. It's like as far as red pill goes, I think it's a great starter. I think it's wonderful that a lot of guys do have the platforms to be able to share their opinions and stuff, but I do not agree with the clout chasing and the that type of content, because it can go left real bad, and we all have seen that where it's like, okay, there's no value here. You just talking shit about, you know what I'm saying, whatever you could do for a rating right now. Okay. But as far as like people actually, the guys that's trying to learn something, you do have to realize that there's a total sphere. Red pill is not just the only piece of the manosphere. If you want actual knowledge, if you want actual game, if you want more to it than fuck bitches, then yes, you gotta look further past, the show. You gotta look further past the show. So yeah, as far as the entirety of Manosphere, I love it. I ain't gonna stunt. I love it. I love that. And in this day and age, I've had more conversations with men. In this day and age, I've had more conversations with men. Shout out Rebuilding Men. It's a nonprofit with our former partner Paul. You know what I'm saying? Because they doing things, they making some movements too. It's literally a men's nonprofit to like instill community and mindset and like have these tough conversations. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you ain't the only one going through things. You ain't the only one been through what you've been through. You know what I'm saying? You might need a different perspective. Like, yo, I could have tried something. It could be so simple. It could be so simple, bro. But we could rely on other men to be able to learn and navigate better in our own lives. You know what I'm saying? We learn from one another. Each one teach one. We're reaching out a hand to lending a hand instead of pointing the finger. You know what I'm saying? And I think we in a great space right now.
Yeah, I that was well. Both of y'all just express yourselves very, very efficiently from my ears.
Appreciate that.
It's like you said, Trey. Talking to men, like especially in my older age, talking to men like that align with in the direction where I'm trying to go. It's like iron sharpens iron type of thing. Like that's what I appreciate about the manosphere too. Is we mention like there are parts of the manosphere that mention women, but that's what we do. We talk about women because women are a big part of our lives, like whether we like it or not. But it's not like there's very few shows where you can say women are being attacked. We all seen that type of content where it's just a couple men and a bunch of women, and then they just call them B words and making them feel stupid, which a lot of them do come off uneducated. But that's what I like about the manosphere is just us talking to us. We minding our business, and but some people don't want to mind their business and want to, what they talk about over there? Well, all these men, what could all these men be talking about? Oh, I don't like it. Male supremacy. These motherfuckers wilding. Like that's all this male supremacy shit is. It's somebody who's either A, jealous of the position men are in, like they just hate the fact that they can't be better than men, or be in a position of power over men, can't control men. It's or B, it's fucking feminism. Just it's a war. Like feminism just fighting back against us. Like no, the focus is on us and what we need going on, not what men need. Like
it gets remedial.
It's retarded. It's retarded. I'm sorry, G. Steal your word. It's retarded. Male supremacy. Where? Like it's like we the Ku Klux Klan. It's just a bunch of niggas like walking around in robes and holding up signs like we just burning crosses for the opposite gender. Like what the fuck is male supremacy? Yes, we are great beings. We do great things in this world. We build the world. We are supreme in in a lot of fashions of life. That's just what it is. We can't give birth. We're not supreme in that. But when it comes to building, when it comes to leading, we are supreme. If you want to call that supremacy, if there's a negative connotation to that, I'm sorry. You just need to get out your fucking feelings and maybe learn something from us.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's God, man, woman. God, man, woman. That's what it is, man.
Exactly. Boy, you listen, man. I'm liking how you talking right now, man. Listen.